We're going to use this model of calculator to calculate the mean and the standard deviation of a set of data. Now, what we do is we're going to turn the calculator on and we're going to choose statistics mode. So we're going to choose the mode button and then choose number 2 for statistics. Because this is one variable statistics, we're going to be pressing 1. And now we could enter our 5 pieces of data and then calculator will calculate the standard deviation, the mean. But my strong advice to all students is whether you're just using a list of numbers or whether you're using a frequency distribution table, then always set up the frequency column. Makes life so much easier in the long run. To set up the frequency column, to turn that on, then you have to go through setup. To access setup, you have to press the shift key. So press the shift key, and as you can see, the shift key has been activated. And now I can press setup. I don't see in this window statistics, so I scroll down, and now I see statistics which can be accessed through number 3. So I press number 3, and I'm choosing to turn frequency on. So press number 1, and now I've got a frequency table. Now the numbers I'm entering are 8, 8, 9, 11, and 14. As you may have noticed, as you were entering those numbers, the frequency number 1 was automatically entered in the frequency column, which makes this piece of work much easier. Okay, once you've done that, I know it's going to sound a bit sort of counterintuitive, but on this model of calculator, you press the all cancel and just to take the screen away. And now you want to analyze your data, and the way to analyze your data on this calculator is to go through this stats menu option here. To access the stat functionality, you have to use the shift key. So we're going to press the shift key, and we take note that the shift key has been activated. So now we can come back here, we can press the number 1, and then we can go and analyze our data. Now, if we click the wrong button, if we can't remember which one to click, it doesn't matter. Let's pretend we've made a mistake. Can't remember which one it is. So we're back to here thinking, whoops, no, wrong menu. So you can all cancel again. Go back to shift, go back to stat, and then choose another one until you find the right one. Now the one that we need is number 4. And as you can see in number 4, we've got the mean, which is activated by pressing button number 2. So if you press button number 2 now, don't forget to press the equals to get the result. We can see the answer is 10. And if we now go shift, stat, back to the menu again, press 4, and now we're going to standard deviation. The code for standard deviation is this Greek letter sigma with an X next to it. So we're now going to press the number 3. And when we press number 3, we press equals to activate it, and we see that the standard deviation is 2.28035, etc. And that's how you use the calculator for this. We're going to use this calculator to work out the mean and standard deviation of a set of 5 numbers. First thing we need to do now is turn our calculator on, and this is going to be analysing mathematics using statistics, so we need to go to the menu key and we need to choose the statistics option. Now to choose the statistics option, we're going to move the cursor across one line until we see statistics appearing here, and once we've done that we can press equals to say to access that functionality. Now finding the standard deviation of a set of data is one variable statistics, so we're going to choose number 1. And what we get here is a table where we can put our 5 numbers in and analyse. But my strong advice to all students is to just always set up frequency for this as well. Now, to set up the frequency, I think the clue is in the word I use, you can use the setup functionality on your calculator. To access setup, you have to use the shift key. So what you do is you press the shift key and you will notice that the shift has appeared up here telling you that this button has been activated. So now we can press the setup button here and we are going to be searching for statistics. Statistics doesn't appear in this window, so we're going to use the arrow down key and we can see now it appears, and the way to access it is by pressing button number 1. So press button number 1 and we're going to choose for frequency to be on, so we're now going to choose 1 again. Now that we've actually set up the calculator ready for data entry, we're now going to enter the 5 pieces of data. The 5 pieces of data, the first piece of data is 8. We press equals to enter it onto the calculator. Then we press 8 again. It's the second piece of data, press equals. The third piece of data is 9, and we press equals. And then it's 11, and then we press equals again to enter it. And then the final piece of data is 14, and we press equals. We'll go immediately to analysing it by going to the option key. And I get a menu coming up which says 1 variable calculation in it. So I'm now going to press number 3. And in that 1 variable calculation, I'm looking to calculate the mean, which is x bar on this calculator is the mean, and it's equal to 10. And sigma x on this calculator, that's standard deviation coding, and it's 2.2803585. On this modeler calculator, all the data that you need is in one place. Okay, we're going to use the FX83 GT Plus to calculate the mean and standard deviation of a set of data which is in a grouped frequency table. So the first thing is we're going to do now is we're going to turn on our calculator and we're going to choose statistics mode. So we press the mode button and we look at the menu options, and number 2, statistics. Now, frequency distribution table is 1 variable statistics, so we're going to be choosing number 1. As you can see, we've got a table ready to fill in, but there isn't a frequency section to it. So we now need to use the setup function on our calculator to ensure that we get the frequency column put in. Now, to access the setup, we need to press the shift key. So we're going to press the shift key now. Now, I know the shift key is on because it's indicated up here in the top left-hand corner. So now I can come over to setup and I can now set up for statistics. Now, on this window, you can't see statistics. So what we do now is press the arrow down. And yes, we've got statistics here, and to access it, we're pressing the number 3. So we press number 3, and now we can choose the frequency on by pressing the number 1 on our calculator. So press number 1. Now, the data that's going in, the first piece of data is 12, and then to enter it, you just press the equals button. The second piece of data is 16, so press 16, and then press the equals button. Then the third one is 20, press the equals button. 24, press the equals button. And 28, and then press the equals button. When you've finished, you literally just do arrow down and it swings back up to the top. As you can see, frequency is automatically enters 1 when you type in your data. And so what you've got to do now for a frequency distribution table is go back down through this column and put in the correct frequencies in. The first one is 13, so press 13, enter it using the equals button, 28, 26, 21, and 12. Now, once you've finished entering the data, if you're worried in case you've made any mistakes, you can go back through and you can check to make absolutely certain that you haven't made any mistakes. And it's a good idea, especially in an exam, to take a minute or 2 just to double check and make sure you haven't done anything daft. Now, once you've done this is a bit counterintuitive. To get out of this screen, you press all cancel. It hasn't gone, it's just stored in statistics area of the calculator. Now, the statistics area of the calculator for calculation is accessed through this button here, which means we once again have to press the Shift button in order to access it. So we come up here and we press Shift, and we can see that the Shift has been activated. So now we can press the number 1, and we're now into the area where we can look at our data and calculate from our data. Now, the problem is, do you remember from time to time which button to actually press? So the likelihood is you go into the examination and you'll forget which menu to click into. So it doesn't matter if you click into the one wrong menu. Let's say, for example, we click number 2. That brings us back to this data screen here, which is fine. So all you have to do now is press all cancel again. You go back to the Shift button, make sure the Shift buttons come on. Then you go to the stats menu, and then you're back to this menu where you can choose the appropriate button. The button that you want is number 4. So we're going to click number 4, and as you can see here, there is the 2 bits of data that you want was the mean, which is symbolized by X bar in this calculator, and the standard deviation, which is symbolized by sigma X. Let's do the mean first. To get the mean, we now press the number 2, and then you must remember to press equals in order for the calculator to present the information to you. And there it is, and we now know that the mean for this set of data is 19.64. If you now want to pick up the other piece of data, you can go back to the Shift function. You can choose number 1, you go back to number 4 for variance again, and then you choose option number 3, and option number 3, now be careful because it appears the answer is 19.64. All the calculator is doing is displaying the last answer that you worked out in your calculator. You must remember to press the equals button in order to get your value for the standard deviation. And the standard deviation is 4.8693, etc. And that's how you use your calculator to calculate standard deviation. We're going to use this calculator to calculate the mean and standard deviation for a grouped frequency distribution. The first thing we're going to be doing here obviously is turn the calculator on. Once we turn the calculator on, then we're going to go to the menu button to choose statistics. To access statistics on this model of calculator, you just move the cursor along using the arrow keys, and when statistics is highlighted, you press the number 2. Standard deviation and mean is one variable statistic, so we're going to be pressing number 1, one variable statistics, and we're taking this data from a frequency distribution table, so we need to set up a frequency column. Now, setting up a frequency column, well, the clue is in what I've just said. We use the setup functionality on the calculator. To access setup, I need to press the Shift key. I press the Shift key, I know it's been activated because it says it in the top left-hand corner. I now press Setup, and I'm looking for statistics. Setting up for statistics, it's not there, so I scroll down to the next window. The next window, it does say statistics, so I press the number 1. Now I'm going to choose frequency to be on, so I press number 1 again, and there's my frequency table. Now I'm going to put the data in. So the data items are 12, 16, 20, and 24, and 28. And when you've entered all the data, you could scroll back up to make sure that you've entered it correctly. And then when you've checked that, you can move across and start entering your data. Or if you're confident that you actually did have it right, and then all you've got to do is when you finish entering your last piece of data is press the arrow down button, and then you go automatically to the top. Then you can move across into the frequency column and start putting the frequencies in. Now the frequencies for this example are 13, press equals to enter the data, 28, press equals to enter the data, 26, press equals to enter the data, 21, press equals to enter the data, and 12, press equals to enter the data. Now, you need to analyze this data. It couldn't be simpler for this model of calculator. To analyze statistics data, you go to the option button, you click on option, and we're going to be analyzing or doing one variable calculations. We press number 3, and all the calculations have been completed in one spot. So what we now have at the top is the mean for our set of data is 19.64. The standard deviation for our set of data is 4.86933, very clearly written there. We can press the arrow down to move on to the next screen. And we've even got on the next screen, we've got the number of items, which is always a good check in case you've made a mistake with data entry. You should know before you can start putting data in, there's 100 items. It also works out for you the lower quartile, the median, the upper quartile, and very powerful piece of kit, to be honest, with all the data that you need for set examinations all in one spot.